Imagine growing up in Detroit, Michigan from modest means and becoming completely debt-free, owning your house in full and still having money to spare. Well, that's the reality of our next guest's life. Jason Brown wrote the inspiring book, 5 Year Millionaire, to show people that creating your own wealth is not as complicated as it may seem. I recently chatted. All right, Jason, let's take it back to young Jason Brown growing up in Detroit, Michigan. So how did living there shape your perspective on money and success?
You know, living in Detroit, it's interesting. Like, I grew up with houses with bars on the windows, and ironically, the only houses I saw without bars were in California on TV shows. Yeah. And so we didn't have beds when we slept. We slept in sleeping bags. And so from a young age, I was just aware that we didn't really have money and that there was a financial and a wealth gap. And that really just got me interested in money and how to make it at a young age.
Yeah, so how did that change your mindset, and how did you overcome poverty to achieve financial success?
Well, when you look at people who were successful, I always heard two things, either the stock market or real estate, and maybe a third one, a business. And I thought, you know, how do I get a piece of the quote unquote American dream? That's not just buying a house, but some of that, the money and the wealth. And I started studying and hearing about people having their money work hard for them instead of them working hard for it. And I thought the stock market was my ticket. It was the thing that it didn't matter your race, it didn't matter your educational background. If you had the money and the knowledge, you could play with some of the biggest companies in the world and kind of change your financial situation in a very quick amount of time.
I feel like this might be the answer to my next question, but what is the number one financial habit that you actually credit with your long-term success?
The number one thing that I credit with my long-term success, probably living below my means and investing the difference. I think what sets me apart from most people is I create margin to take calculated risk every single month. That's always been my motto since I was 18. And when you can take a calculated risk every single month or, you know, week or whatever the case may be, you don't have to hit home runs, but you can be in the industry, in the field, playing the game, and when things go right, they go right big.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about investing. What advice do you have for people who want to start investing but feel like they just really don't have the resources? Like, where are you going to get all the funds if you don't have them?
Yeah, well, today has never been a better time to start investing. You have YouTube, you have books like the one I wrote, 5 Year Millionaire. There's so much available as far as resources. Then there's commission fee trading. And then, like I talk about in the book, 5 Year Millionaire, you can start your journey to become a millionaire with as little as $4,000. So when you think about that, you could save your tax returns, you could drive Uber or something on the weekends. It's just really about being creative. You can sell some of the stuff that's in your home that you're not using anymore and come up with that $4,000, and you couple that with the right knowledge, you can get started. And most people think I should just go start a mutual fund or something like that, but the reality is that's typically slow growth and stuff that's geared towards your retirement. And on the other side, no one's going to care about your money like you. So if you can take the time and learn how to manage it yourself, you really can get a greater return.
I mean, what do you say for the people who are living paycheck to paycheck and really don't have that extra money? At what point do you say, okay, how do I budget things to save all that money to put into, or to save up to have $4,000?
Yeah,
like
so I think about when I live paycheck to paycheck, and I can only speak from my situation. What I did was I really categorized things into, like, what do you really need to live? And that broke down to me food, shelter, and transportation, because I had to have a way to get to a job or make some type of money. Once you categorize anything into food, shelter, and transportation, everything else is really clearly a want, not necessarily a need. And so I made the tough sacrifice that said, I only am going to pay for things that I need, not what I want, and I'm going to live below my means, and I'm going to make that sacrifice to put the extra money in the stock market. For me, that meant moving back home with my mom. I sold all my belongings, moving back home with my mom, downgraded my car, didn't eat out, was packing the lunch. I just made the decision to sacrifice now so that I could live like no one else later. And I think many people could do that and come up with the money to invest.
Yeah, okay, you wrote your book, 5 Year Millionaire. Who did you write this for?
I really wrote it for people just for regular people, to inspire them, to give them hope that a regular person that didn't come from a trust fund, that didn't grow up with money, also didn't grow up with any mentors who were in the stock market, that anyone can learn this industry, and with a little bit of cash and a lot of information and a little bit of hard work, they can too become a millionaire.
Well, Jason, thank you so much for stopping by. I love the fact that you said living below your means. You know, you got to do that. Sometimes you got to sacrifice to make all that money, and then you can enjoy it later on, right? Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Jess.
Yeah.